Since the roaring 60s, and a band of singing guys, screaming fans have been a staple of celebrity life. Girls would scream and cry with joy whenever Elvis shook his hips. Roll on into the 80s, and Bon Jovi serenading the audience would send fans crazy. For as long as there has been entertainers, there has been devoted fans. Motley Crue rose to fame with their rock music, rugged looks, and wild lifestyle. Their fans, or better known as groupies, would follow the band around on tours and do anything to be with their idols. These entertainers have a hold over their fans, and for some it can be an opportunity to abuse. For most entertainers, the show is just their job, the adoration is what keeps their ego stacked. Way back in 2006, a then 21-year-old Jesus David Torres formed Blood on the Dance Floor. With his alternative style and provocative persona, Jesus created his alter ego Dahvie Vanity. His sex appeal yielded him a legion of young, scene teen fans. Dahvie encapsulated the emo movement and built his entire career upon being alternative. Following the Nirvana heyday of the grunge movement, emo was the next big thing. A scene where youths embraced alternative looks and were accepted for being different, away from the mainstream. The late 90s had seen groups like Linkin Park and Papa Roach embrace the alternative scene and bring it to the mainstream audiences. Dahvie Vanity wanted a part of this. He began his career as a hairdresser and used the now redundant MySpace to build a following, although it was ironic as Dahvie's locks are all hair pieces. He formed Blood on the Dance Floor, a metal pop hybrid, and teens loved it. When a 17-year-old Javon Monroe joined the ranks, Blood on the Dance Floor had the complete look to appeal to the emo scene. Their fame steadily rose, but with any group pushing a new sound and outlandish looks, it was never going to appeal to the mainstream crowd. Dahvie's band played many shows, even bagging spots on the Vans Warped tours, but controversy would always follow. Blood on the Dance Floor gained a solid fan base of mainly teen girls. One of those girls was an 11-year-old Jessi Slaughter. An acronym she developed to accompany her internet persona. Jessi was making quite a presence online, in the early days where MySpace was all the rage. Jessi would post sultry pictures, make outrageous statements, and become the subject of ridicule. Jessi claimed to have first connected with Dahvie through MySpace, and this resulted in allegations that 11-year-old Jessi secretly dated Dahvie for around 2 years and had been sexually assaulted by him. The rumor began when a post appeared on Sticky Drama, a gossip website, claiming Jessi was in a relationship with Dahvie. There was no evidence to back the allegations aside from pictures of the pair at a blocked concert.
Okay, you guys, this is Jessi Slaughter, and
You
I
know
just
what?
wanted to say that you guys have ruined my life. First,
I'm gonna
this
tell
is
you
my
right now,
dad.
this is from her father. You bunch of lying, no good punks.
The accusations led Jessi to be targeted by Blood on the Dance Floor fans in a hate campaign that would see Jessi's home address leaked, media scrutiny, a ton of memes, an on-screen meltdown, and a stint in foster care. Dahvie and fellow band member Jay even made a video ridiculing Jessi.
This is Harry Potter, and this fucking guy's ruining my life, and I know my shirt is falling down, and fucking call me a whore for it.
Don't be saying so, it's
You guys are ruining my life.
That's one! I'm on the noise to say about my darn! Don't say I'm recording this! Now I report you to the cyber police! And the state police!
And then created a song in which they attacked Jessi, bearing in mind, she was just a young girl at the time. Jessi would later make an apology video to Dahvie, claiming everything was a lie.
Hi Dahvie, hi Jay, hi Sally, hi the whole BTDF spectrum. It's Jessica Rose, aka Jessi Slaughter here. I'm saying sorry for everything that I've done. I feel really bad about it now. I'm in foster care. I have been locked up in mental institutions, and just like you done Goof said, I do have to go to counseling now and everything, but it's not because of you. So, I'm really sorry for everything that I've done. I'm sorry for accusing you of rape and everything. I know that all that happened.
As she reached adulthood, she has gone on to reignite claims of abuse from Dahvie. Dahvie's reputation had escaped unscathed. 3 years earlier, 14-year-old would begin messaging with a then 22-year-old Dahvie on MySpace. She claims to have built up a friendship with him online. He arranged to visit the girl's home with the promise of restyling her hair. He arrived late and the girl's mother was heading to work. He colored the girl's hair and was friendly with her, but things took a turn when Dahvie allegedly forced the girl to give him oral sex. Being young and confused, the girl later called up a teen radio show and told the host she had been sexually assaulted. The show called the police and the girl disclosed what happened. She did not want to get Dahvie in trouble. Police spoke to Dahvie, who claimed he was unaware of how young the girl was. Despite admitting sexual contact with a minor, somehow Dahvie evaded any charges. The girl's mother asked that he no longer contact the girl and the case was closed. In 2008, a 13-year-old girl met Dahvie after watching the band perform in Orlando. The girl's mother had accompanied her to the concert and had chatted with Dahvie's manager, who suggested that the girl could meet Dahvie if the mother was willing to book him for a hairdressing appointment. The mother agreed, and a few months into 2009, Dahvie arrived at the girl's home. The mother was home and agreed that Dahvie could stay over and sleep on the couch. The girl later would come forward to allege that Dahvie had made sexual advances towards her when the mother had gone to bed. His advances were rejected, but the girl kept in contact with Dahvie and would go on to have a date with him sometime later, and this time Dahvie forced her to give him oral sex in his truck. The girl never spoke to him again. In 2009, Dahvie would be arrested for allegedly sexually assaulting a girl whilst the band was on tour in Colorado. He allegedly had invited a teen onto the tour bus with him. The show was halted and Dahvie hauled to jail, but yet again Dahvie was released with no charges, despite the shocking similarities beginning to emerge in the cases. He released a statement to quash the allegations.
Hello, my name is Jesus David Torres. I am the lead singer of Blood on the Dance Floor. I'm here to address the accusations that are made against me. Of course, I am not here to make accusations about anybody else. This is just to add clarity to all the accusations and bullshit people have made of me. So the awful rumors began back in 2009. I played a show, and after the show I had relations with a woman, and after I had relations with a woman, she seemed to have underlying mental issues. Next thing you know, I'm being arrested by police. I go down to the police station. I tell my side of the story. She takes a rape kit. She fails a rape kit. They prove my innocence. I was never charged with a crime. You can look up my name on public records, Jesus David Torres. You can see I was never charged as a sex offender or any of that stuff, but yet people threw in their accusations and they made their rumors and blogs, and next thing you know, I'm public enemy number 1.
2 years later, and a 15-year-old is chatting to Dahvie on Facebook. They meet at a mall for a date. As soon as she is in the vehicle, Dahvie forces her to give him oral sex. The girl even went to stay with Dahvie at his home in Arizona with her mom and brother. Dahvie would sneak off with the girl to engage in sexual activity. In 2013, a 15-year-old girl meets Dahvie at his concert. Despite it being the night before he is due to head off on the European tour, he invites the girl and her friend to his home for a party. He lures the girl to his room and then proceeds to rape her in his closet. These incidents highlight a serious issue that if Dahvie was engaging in illegal activity with minors, he was brazen enough to do it right under the noses of his crew and band members. Dahvie's band continued to tour and die-hard fans were not fazed by the rumors beginning to circulate. Dahvie is a smart guy who used his charm to dismiss the rumors as nothing but haters hating. His shows were full of adoring teenagers and Dahvie had no filter when on stage. He was vulgar and his song lyrics were derogatory towards women. Dahvie would encourage the crowd to flash him or throw their bras, drench the audience in foam, fake blood, or glitter, use profanities, even though his shows were not age restricted and the majority of his audience were under 18. There are various reports of him allegedly groping the breasts of the young fans who'd wait after the show to meet him. These girls would just be in awe that Dahvie had given them attention and seemed to see no wrong in his actions. Some girls would get his number, some would not. Behind the scenes, suspicions about Dahvie grew. A then, lesser-known Jeffree Star claims he saw Dahvie take underage girls to hotel rooms. A merchandiser for the tour made similar claims that he witnessed Dahvie being too friendly with allegedly underage fans. it appears that many people were afraid to speak up for fear of losing their job or destroying their reputation. Jeffree Star would later perform on stage at the Warped Tour with Dahvie. They seemed to have buried the hatchet over the allegations. It was Ashley Costello, lead singer of band New Year's Day, who had toured with Dahvie, that released a statement slamming Dahvie for his abusive behavior towards her and his fans. The band had been dropped from Bot's tour because Costello and her crew were noticing Dahvie's behavior with younger fans was questionable. In fact, Costello was struggling with Dahvie's behavior towards her, recalling an incident in which he put her in a headlock. Of course it was played down as jest, but Costello was becoming increasingly creeped out by Dahvie. Costello even filed a police report about Dahvie's conduct with young fans. She told Loudwire that the police seemed uninterested to pursue the matter, and the fact it happened across states complicated matters regarding jurisdiction. Former staff member Kitty Brooker had toured with Dahvie and revealed he had made sexual advances towards her numerous times and had bribed underage fans not to speak out against him. She too claims to have contacted police, but to no avail. Lady No Grady appeared on one of Blood on the Dance Floor's tracks, spoke out against Dahvie's questionable behavior, but she too was dismissed. Dahvie's band was due to tour with Combi Christ, but when they were told of Dahvie's allegations, they dropped him, as people started to become increasingly reluctant to be associated with the band. In September 2016, long-serving band member Jay suddenly announced his departure from the band. He claimed Dahvie had been too controlling over him, not paying him a regular income, and when Jay was diagnosed HIV positive, Dahvie made Jay tour despite him desperately needing medication.
So, Dali, you started rock and roll very early, like 18 or something. You got in that.
I started touring like
band.
right after I turned 18. It was kind of like emotionally and almost physically abusing though, like touring that way. The person that was like in the band with me like forced me to do a lot of things that I didn't want to do. The reason why I quit touring is because I was diagnosed with HIV like last year, and I was forced to go on tour without treatment.
Oh, what?
I found out I was diagnosed, and then I told him what was happening, and I didn't have like insurance at the time or anything, so I had no idea what I was gonna do. Looking back, I was like really sick. And then I was like hospitalized, and then I was, did the whole treatment and everything, and then a few months later I was undetectable, so she bounced back real healthy.
Jay never addressed the rumors about Dahvie. He did appear on Chris Hansen's show and claimed he never saw anything suspicious. When interviewed by Brian Stars, he made the following comments about Dahvie.
What do people not get about Dahvie? Because he seems like, I feel like the scene as a whole, I hate to use the word the scene, but he's definitely one of the most interesting and talked about people, and yet people probably mislabel him, I guess, in some ways, or maybe people say a lot of things that might not be true.
I think a lot of people don't understand about him is like he isn't that person that you see all the time. Like he's not that person on stage 24/7. Like he's not that person when he's hanging out at home. Like usually he's pretty stressed out because he works a lot. Like we don't have a manager or anything right now, so he like manages the band himself, and that includes like all of the music, like that includes like the fucking YouTube, that includes the Facebook and replying to all the fans, that includes his fucking Twitter and replying to all of his fans, and then that also includes like running the whole fucking merch side of it, which is a goddamn nightmare. Like he does a lot, so he's like fucking stressed out all the time, but he keeps to himself a lot of the time. Like everyone takes him as like this crazy eccentric like person, and he's like really chill, and he's like super caring, and he's not like, I guess people just like look at him like kind of like a cartoon character. Like they don't really like see him as a real person sometimes, and like even as heartfelt as he can be, it like doesn't read to people as well, I guess.
Metal Sucks posted an exposé on Dahvie in August 2018. They had accounts from 12 alleged victims of Dahvie's. Most of the victims were underage and fans of his. When the Huffington Post did their own investigation, the number rose to 21. Each account was harrowing and remarkably similar in showing that Dahvie had a penchant for forcing the victims to give him oral sex. At this time Dahvie was engaged to 35-year-old model Fallon Vendetta. She had replaced Jay in the band, and the pair continued to release music. They traveled to Japan to promote the new band in the hope of appealing to a wider audience. They split up a while later and Fallon began dating another musician. Fallon has never publicly commented on Dahvie or the allegations, even though Fallon was a single parent to 2 children, one of which is a young girl. In April 2019, Spotify removed all of Bott's music, claiming the music was in violation of their terms and policies. Over the span of 12 years, Dahvie has been accused repeatedly of sexual assault and rape, but it appears only 2 victims had contacted the police. Forums and websites set up to expose Dahvie have endless accounts of fans who had a bad experience with Dahvie. Victims say they were groped or had their breasts fondled by Dahvie, others claim to have been the victim of rape. Even in anonymous postings, hardcore Blot fans are quick to attack the claims. All of the victim accounts follow a common theme: Dahvie engages with them in a friendly, loving manner. When he meets them he again builds a rapport, and when he has the female alone he forces them to engage in sex, mostly oral. He seems to get greater gratification from the forced act of fellatio. It is a sexual desire fueled by dominance and control on his part. Once the act is over, he reverts back to being overly nice and caring towards the victim. In some instances, he even arranges to see them again, leaving the victims confused and unsure if they are victims at all. He is exhibiting classic predatory behavior. All of these girls were fans and either met him at concerts or through social media. One victim claims to have met him via an online dating app. Most were teenagers, both above and below the age of consent, dependent on state, as age of consent varies. Some victims didn't want to press charges because they feared the backlash from the /Gash Terror Crew, a nickname adopted to Bott's fans. Jessi Slaughter became the ultimate warning of what can happen if you dare to face Dahvie's wrath. Other victims felt ashamed. For many of the accusers, they were so besotted with Dahvie that they would see him again despite his treatment of them. He was in a position where he was able to use his status as a tool to manipulate these girls into meeting him. His fame meant these girls thought they were safe. Many of the accounts state, they went willingly with Dahvie on dates or to parties, and when he was able to get them alone he would assault them. Sadly, these are just allegations and Dahvie Vanity is innocent until proven otherwise. Very few have come forward to defend him, aside from his die-hard fans.
Hi, I'm Kerry Elise. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. But I'm here to talk about Dahvie Vanity. Obviously there's a lot of controversy on the subject, but for those of you that do know me, know that I am very good friends with Dahvie. I've done 2 of their UK tours and I toured Europe with them. Anyone who has ever hung out with us, even just to come back today and just have a chat and hang out, has been ID'd. Everyone gets ID'd.
To all you little fucking bitches out there that are saying Dahvie Vanity raped you. Okay, first off, you need to go get your fucking head checked, because Dahvie Vanity clearly is hot enough to not need to force himself upon a young female. Like, this man has dated and married swimsuit models and is fucking like every fucking hot bitch out there. He does not need to force himself on no little 13-year-old.
Despite endless witness and victim accounts that exist, nothing has led to a conviction. Chris Hansen's relatively new YouTube channel, Have a Seat, has recently begun investigating Dahvie. Jessi Slaughter appeared on his show to reignite the claims from her youth. Sadly, for those who watched Jessi, could clearly see that this young lady is still troubled, and that casts doubt about the validity of her allegations. Since the Jessi Slaughter scandal, Jessi renamed herself Damien and dropped the she pronoun. Videos surfaced on Pornhub of her engaging in illicit acts, sadly, giving ammunition for the haters to discredit anything she says. However, Chris Hansen's publicity of Dahvie has opened the doors for more victims to come forward. It seems fame, no matter how limited, has given stars a hall pass to behave in ways that Joe Ordinary would be prosecuted for. Dahvie still has a strong following. He dropped the Blood on the Dance Floor title and rebranded himself as Dark Arts. His Instagram boasts of 123,000 followers. He still chooses to adopt his signature, overly made-up look. He hasn't evolved or changed as he's grown older. Is this why he allegedly lusts after younger fans? Does he still perceive himself as a teen? The 35-year-old spends most of his time doing live streams via Instagram. Relentlessly promoting his own clothing line, he is said to live in Florida with his parents and his cats, following his breakup from Fallon. Dahvie still has himself in a prime position to engage with young willing fans. He chooses not to address any of the current controversy surrounding him, instead opting to post his words of wisdom. A case like this highlights a major issue. Fans are the foundation of fame. They buy tickets for the shows, pay your bills and buy your merchandise. They are the reason you are on the stage. They look up to you, lust after you and care about you. It's saddening that so many girls have come forward to say that their faith has been lost. By gratifying a sexual need, he stripped the trust, joy and happiness he had instilled in these girls who once admired him. With the publicity surrounding Dahvie, let's hope that all of those who were wronged by him gain the strength to stand up and report him.